My problem is I don't know what your notion of education is in this country. What is education? From my experience, I think the Nigerian government, education is the ability to read and write. But there's an assumption. To read and write in what language? I think the Nigerian answer is that read and write in English. So if you can read and write in English and cannot read and write in Yoruba, you are educated. But I think the fact is very plain. If you can read and write in English, yes. If you cannot read and write in Yoruba, you are an illiterate. I tell my professor friends, you are educated in English, but you are an illiterate. They will tell me, no, they are not illiterate. Then I give them a topic. And borrow a paper, write me a whole page of Yoruba paper. He cannot do it, then he's not educated. So writing and reading may be relevant to education, but not necessarily. The Japanese who does not write and read in English, is he educated? The German who does not speak English, is he educated? So you have to know that education is not just about writing. You may write in the language, but your language is important. But let's go back to education. What is education? Education, from my little knowledge, is making a child grow through a process of learning. So she will acquire knowledge and wisdom. And what is that knowledge and wisdom supposed to make you do? To cope with the problems of life. It's not just to have a certificate. An educated person is somebody who has enough knowledge of technology, principles, and so on. Now, the person wants to educate you. What is he giving to you? The knowledge he or she has. School was a latecomer. Education is from parents to children, from society. Yorùbá wọ́n ní ojú mẹ́rin ló mọ́mọ wáyé, ẹgbẹ̀rún ojú ò tó tọ́. Education is to be given by everybody, not just your parents. And your parents will speak their language to you. I was reading a research in Kenya by a white woman. She studied black children and white children and came up with the conclusion that white children are more brilliant than black children. But unfortunately for her, she started by saying that before these two children go to school at the age of 6, the African child is more knowledgeable than the white. Where did that child get the knowledge from? The education the mother gave her. When you have a child, from the day you have your child, you are supposed to educate him. It's not in the school. Education does not start in the school. It starts from the home. So, a child that is born, you cannot leave him without anything until he becomes 6. He will be an idiot. But this lady who said that the black child was more brilliant than the white child, I have evidence for it. I was driving from Ibadan, stopped at a village, Ibafo. I wanted to buy a bottle of Coca-Cola. There was a very small girl there. And I asked her, I want a bottle of Coca, how much? She gave me a price higher than the normal price. So only ní ẹni kò ó ní kíni ó ní màá yọ owó ẹ̀ nínú ó ní kíni náà. That girl at last pé tó bá fẹ́ tajà wàá fowó sí ẹnìyàn á nà. The opportunity to make more money from you. Mo lókè mo fún lówó mo ní kó lọ ṣe ìjẹ wa. Ó dọ̀nà ó ní ẹ̀jọ̀ mọ̀ ẹ̀ mọ̀ tí ì ṣe o. Kí ló dé? Ó ní tẹ́ ẹ bá jù tí mi ò bá ní ṣe ìjìn kan ní kàtàkàtà mọ̀ ṣẹlẹ̀. Mo wá dúró ó débẹ̀ kò rí ṣéǹjì. Ẹnìkan wá bọ̀ pé kí ló ṣe é? Ó ní ṣéǹjì ní ò pé. Ìyẹn ní owó agolo bíi mówó onígbà tí n bá dà á pọ̀ tán ló máa yanjú ẹ̀ nígbà tí n bá gbowó yẹn. I was forced to ask her, mo ní kíláàsì ló wà ó lóun ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ school ọmọ ọdún mélòó ni ọmọ ọdún 6 gbogbo nǹkan tó ń bá mi sọ ó dẹ̀ ti kọ́ nílé. That is an educated child. But to test the white researcher in Kenya, to let her know that she made the conclusion, she said immediately the 2 children come to class, the child of the black will go down. Do you know why? Because the medium of education is English. So and I said, okay, let us put a white child, and I mean some white children and black children, and teach them Yoruba. The boy will start getting 0. He doesn't know anything. The girl knows every word they say, but when I got to standard 1, I started to look for the English of a book, a table. I know that in my congregation. One of the tragedies of Africa today is that when you put a child in the school, if that child starts school at 6, she has learned some things in her language. But she go to school, she has to start learning ABC. She will drop. The time she should be building on education, she will start learning English. I'm not saying that I said that she should not learn English. But if you allow her to continue. A boy gave me a story in the north. He came for UCO in the secondary school and discovered that the Hausa boys were always failing. The medium of education was English. Though the boy discovered that there's a problem. It was an Hausa boy. He started teaching them in Hausa. After the first exam, they came first. The problem is that they didn't understand what they were being told in English. Now, there's one thing we have not declared. Learning English and teaching in English. Is it the same thing? English is a subject, but the language your teacher uses. The late Professor Fafunwa, may he rest in peace. He started the secondary school in Ife, and the means of instruction from Form 1 to Form 5 or 6 was Yoruba. I said when they took WAEC, they scored A1 in English. English is just one subject. The children will go to class when there's English and study English. But when they do geography, mathematics, and they use Yoruba to teach them, they score highly in all the subjects. They wrote the exam, but the difference I'm making is this. You go to school, English is a subject. You learn it, Abi. But the medium of teaching you is your native language. You understand it. The question I want to ask you, do you know any, I think I've raised that question. Tell me any nation in Europe that uses English to teach their children. The Germans, do they teach in English? The German children take English in school. But the medium of teaching, of explanation, of letting the children know what they know is their native language. So what I am saying is this. You go to English, you have mathematics, the teacher will teach you and go. You have geography, you have biology, chemistry. What we are saying, the teacher must use Yoruba to teach you all those disciplines. But you go to English, you must speak English and take the exam in English. So the difference is that asking you to have English as a subject is different from saying using English to teach you all subjects. Because the explanations in your language will make you understand more. So, let us go back. To educate a child is to make her have knowledge and wisdom. Knowledge and wisdom given to you in your language sticks better. You understand? That does not mean you should not take exam in English as a discipline. The question I'm asking you, Moremi Girls School, the experiment was successful. The children did well in English. They did well in all disciplines because Yoruba was used. Why did we stop it? They are not doing it anymore. Why didn't we make sure that today, when you have secondary school, I'm not saying you should not read English books, but teacher to explain to you what this means. Let him use your language. That's my problem. We can speak English, but education is to transmit knowledge, wisdom, and capacity. Now, there's a fundamental question now. You have gone to the University of Lagos, BA Honours Philosophy. Please, what does it qualify you to do? BA Honours Philosophy. What does it qualify you to do? BSc Engineering. What does it qualify you to do? BSc Accounting. Let me tell you, when you do accounting at the University of Lagos, BSc, you are a clerk. When you go to Yaba College of Education and do BSc Accounting, you are an accountant. The universities are for learning theories, no practical. So when you go to the university and you have a certificate you are holding, the question is, what does it qualify you to do? So if I want to employ you, I want you to do something for me. What can you do? I have a friend, we were in the US together. He did the MSc Political Science. He wanted to wait and do PhD. So he went to the factory to work. They said he can come tomorrow. He came the next day. They gave him envelopes to fold. After one day, he went back. He said, I cannot do that job. They said, why? He said, I have MSc Political Science. What does it qualify you to do? Your children are out today with certificates. What can they do? They cannot service their car. They have certificates because they can memorize Plato and Karl Marx. Who needs Karl Marx? I can employ you to sell my books. Karl Marx is not going to tell me how to do it. Now, education is supposed to function. Knowledge